Yes.
Way. He mentions the sanctions and anti-money laundering bill, and whilst we're talking about specific countries, of course, that bill now enacted include the Magnitsky Amendment, and of course he references a list should the United Kingdom leave without a deal, and that is a general list which no doubt would include other countries as well. In that regard, can I ask the Minister of State what is the current position of the government with regard to individuals named on a list, sanctions list, with regard to the Magnitsky Amendment now enacted?
Sir Rowlands. If I may just say to my honourable friend, I'll come to that in just a second, and I will answer the question raised in his intervention, but let me just complete the introductory logic of what it is these four statutory instruments are intending to do. Because while the Act set out the framework needed to impose our own independent sanctions, we need statutory instruments to set out the detail of each sanctions regime within that independent framework. And such statutory instruments set out the purposes of our regimes and the criteria under which the Secretary of State may designate individuals and entities within that framework, if you like, and the types of restrictive measures imposed. And indeed, I'm grateful to the Joint Committee on Statutory Instruments for their close and helpful scrutiny of these and other statutory instruments relating to sanctions regimes. In respect of the Magnitsky element of the Act of Parliament that was passed last year, that Sanctions Act provides powers for the UK to impose sanctions to provide accountability for or to deter gross violations of human rights and promote compliance with international human rights law and to respect human rights. Now, these powers are what are colloquially known as the Magnitsky Amendment. Now, the government's focus so far has been in ensuring that we have the necessary secondary legislation in place to continue to implement existing EU and UN sanctions should we leave the EU without a deal.